Were there specific virtues or concepts or notions of leadership and community building that were foreign to you that you were able to fold in and that were standing alone, were unique, but had great value that were hidden from your view, if you will?
Yeah, I would say that there was a few things. When I got there, my second time going, I wanted to just live there.
And if I hacked the pronunciation,
No, you're good.
help me.
No, I'll tell you this. The Fa Pygmy people named me Etheosa, and the Mabuti named me Mabutimang Bo, and the Batwa named me Olengama. And so
Olengama.
Yeah, you have to say them that
Our
way.
next guest is Olengama.
What? Oh yeah. That's some of the first calls. Yeah. Hey yo. And so Etheosa means the man that loves us, and I obviously cherish. It means a lot to me. Mabutimang Bo means the big pygmy. And so that's what they named me. And my name was the Viking in the UFC. You can kind of see why if you look at me. But I wanted to make that comeback and come back for them and fight for them. And so that's the name they wanted. I asked them, what should I be called whenever I come back to fighting? They're like, this, Mabutimang Bo. And so, but Olengama for the Batwa, that's named after King Nzito, his father. That was his name. And his father had
honor.
His father's dream and vision. He drew it with a stick in the dirt. Was one day it would be so great if we could have our own land, if we could have our own farms, if we could have our houses, school, education, or healthcare, like our clinic, a clinic that doesn't deny us and turn us away and neglect us or reject us, hospital treatment. And so it's really been awesome to say, we're going to come alongside that vision and we're going to try to help you make it happen because this is your initiative. It's your project. It's your sustainable community. We're just alongside you. We have joined forces with you. We will try to do our very best and we'll bring in experts and teaching and training. But really, this is what you have to drive forward. And we're going to match your energy. We're not going to outdo your energy. We're going to match your energy. So as much as you take action, we'll take action. It's going to be a collaboration. And I think that's leadership. So you asked specifically about a principle that were like light bulb moments for me. Well, there's three that come to mind, and they're three Swahili proverbs. Before I met them, I struggled with addiction. I had Oxycontin addiction. I had a surgery. I had this was 2005. So we didn't know nearly as much about Oxycontin as we do now. And I had three different doctors give me three different scripts. There was 90, 120, 120 each month, like a copious amount. And no real oversight. And so in many ways, it stole my, if I could say soul, right? It stole who I was as a human being and my mind, my heart, my passion, my purpose, all that stuff. I didn't have it. And it made fighting very empty for me. So I get my hand raised and I would think, is this it? Is that all? Like, there's got to be something more. I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
It's kind of like a booby prize, almost like an empty victory.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me. I would get my hand raised. I'm like, what am I doing this for? And I would go back to the drugs and drinking, and it just sucked. When I met them, there was a Swahili proverb that says, if there is no enemy within, the opponent on the outside can do us no harm. And I was just, whoa, like, okay, that's some deep stuff. That's some
dude. I just got chills again. I'm gonna use up all my chill factor.
Well, I think it's just so profound because I was like, whoa, that's some ancient wisdom. That's some ancestral knowledge that has been passed down from person to person. And when I look at that, they might have, quote unquote, the least. Anthropologists call them some of the most oppressed people on earth. And on the human development index, they're some of the poorest of the poor, right? In the poorest of the poor nations. And they don't get paid a money. So they don't have any resources. And it's like, if they can have that outlook on life, if they can have that deep wisdom, like, I should be able to take that with me, right? And so when things get hard, I'm thinking like, okay, is this really the external circumstance, or is this my internal condition?
Yeah.
If I can work on this and work on me. So when it came to depression and addiction, it's like, okay, with addiction, I have to face it all, feel it all, because that's where the magic happens. If I can work on that thing inside me, the stuff, the triggers, the other things, like, those won't affect me as much or at all. And then when it came to depression, like, I think there's a book with this title, but I really love it. And for a guy like me, it actually resonates. I didn't even read the book. The title was enough. You got to love yourself like your life depends on it. Because for me, the stuff I've struggled with, like, it actually does matter. I have to love myself so that I can love others in a more sustainable way, a deeper way, a meaningful way. And so then there's two other Swahili proverbs, and that is, and I think this is for all of us, because one, this is who they are. It's in their DNA. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's actually a Swahili proverb if you trace it back. It'll also be attributed to the Dalai Lama. I think it was a Swahili.
I've heard it. I've heard iterations of it. Right.
You want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so we need tribe. We need community. We can't do this on our own. As a fighter, sometimes you think you do stuff on your own, and no, you had your coaches, you had your training partners, you had your strength coach, you had your family, you had your friends.
It's so antithetical to the Occidental, the Western world, where, the individual, and, there's even well-known people that are like, oh, I did it on my own. I was born, poor, and walked uphill both ways to school in the snow, and nobody ever helped me. And the truth of the matter is, there were a lot of people, whether they were invisible hands or not, whether they were kind of hidden from your view or not, nobody rows the boat alone.
Yeah, no one's a self-made millionaire, probably, right? Or
No.
Self-made success. And so the third Swahili proverb that really was a light bulb moment, it actually kept me there. I've had malaria 5 times, and the first time and the third time were brutal. Third time I had cerebral malaria, so I had parasites in my brain. I had to poison my brain with medication to kill the parasites in my brain.
Oof.
Wild, right? So that was a long recovery. First time I lost 33 pounds in 5 days. I was well, I don't want to, someone might be on their lunch break, but it was, let's just say what was coming up and out of me was red and green and blood and bile, and it was not fun. Lost 33 pounds in 5 days. I had something called black water fever. I think if we Google that fact, it would say 25 to 50% of people who get it die. And so it was a great thing. And it was really hard. And I had been evac'd basically out of the Congo rainforest with just one pilot and me on a very little janky or just really old plane. And when I got out of there and landed in Uganda, like I was going in and out of consciousness, they pulled me out of the plane into not an ambulance, but a vehicle to take me to the hospital.